Hi everybody, welcome back to my podcast. I'm so excited. I feel like I start every single podcast episode off with, I'm so excited. And the reason why is because whenever I record these podcasts, like I only ever post these podcasts now when I'm inspired to talk about something. I no longer like pre-schedule in podcast episodes and then force myself to like do it and create it in that pre-scheduled time. I don't do that anymore. I literally just wait until I feel like making a podcast episode because I'm really excited to talk about something, and then I come on here. So that's why at the beginning of every episode I'm always like, oh my god, I'm so excited right now. I'm so excited to talk about this thing, stream of consciousness, mostly because it'll help me understand myself. Shout out to the last podcast episode, Podcasting is How I Understand Myself. I have been very confused, but it's like a very positive confusion. But it's also like a paradox. It feels like paradoxical. Like I feel confused, but I also don't feel confused. Like I also simultaneously know exactly why this is happening, but I also feel confused. So there's like an interesting paradoxical energy going on in my mind space. And so I thought that it'd be a fun idea to start talking and see how this energy translates into words. I made a thread. I'm on Threads now, everyone. I resisted it for a while because I was like, ugh, I don't, why are they, ugh, you know? And then I got over that. And then it just like popped up in my mind and I was like, wait, I feel like I'm having a lot of these in the moment thoughts again, which for a while I wasn't really having like little spurts of thoughts that I felt inspired to share with everyone. But I just did all of a sudden 2 weeks ago. Or when did I even start this account? A little over a week ago. Oh my gosh, I swear to God, it feels like 2 months ago that I started this Threads account. But I just went back in the history and it says first thread a week ago. So, okay, that's very interesting. I made a thread today and I wrote, I don't know what happened, but in the past week, I have gained a newfound ability to shift how I feel internally, like instantly. No thoughts necessary. I can make my body go from being anxious to completely at peace and sure of myself / sure of my path in one exhale. Anyone else feeling this? Maybe it's an eclipse-related update? And then in brackets, obviously I am overjoyed. I edited the last part in and added it because I was like, just so everyone's clear, like this is a very positive thing that I am experiencing. I'm just like confused and I'm like, is anyone else experiencing this level of positive upgrades? Because this ability that I'm referring to, the fact that I haven't felt bad all week because I've just, every time I feel bad, I can just shift it. And something that was interesting when this first started happening a few days ago, and I was like, oh wait, oh my god, I feel so anxious. And then I just like changed the feeling in my body, and all of a sudden it's like full complete peace in like a second. But then I go back to feeling anxious for a bit because I'm just thinking like, wait, am I allowed to shift feelings this quickly? Like maybe I need to feel bad. Like maybe I need to feel anxious because maybe there's information in things in anxiousness or in the negative feeling. And these thoughts were spiraling around the concept of feel your feelings, and like it's like something that I've abided by for so many years now, is like had the importance of feeling your feelings and the importance of like letting yourself feel your negative emotions and not just pushing them away. And then this week, Luna's looking at me like, who are you talking to? This week, I was able to move the feelings, and then got worried that I wasn't feeling my feelings. But when I really sat down to think about it, really, it's not the same. Like, I've also experienced multiple eras of my life where I pushed away emotions, and that act of pushing away and this act that I'm experiencing this week feel very different. Like, this feels like what the word transmutation means. Like, this feels like what the word alchemizing means. Like, it literally feels like it's like confronting the energy rather than covering it up with something. It's like fully touching the energy and then transforming it from the inside out into the energy that I want to feel, or the feeling that I want to feel. So that was an interesting process earlier this week, or even like a few days ago. I was just like, I guess earlier this week is a few days ago, but I was just like kind of caught in that mental loop of like, wait, am I doing something wrong? Like, aren't I supposed to suffer? Like, is it really okay to like just go through life not suffering or not feeling any sort of like just just feeling any sort of like feeling that I don't want to feel? Like, is that okay? Is that safe? Like, am I? And then I started getting all these like random God-centered and religious feeling vibes come through in that questioning. And I realized in my studies of the major religions around the world, pretty much in every single one of them, there is this like highlighting of the fact that suffering is the core of our existence here on earth, that suffering is just a part of it, pain is just a part of it. And I agree with that to an extent. I also think that once you understand the pain and the suffering, once you understand and receive the information that it was there to tell you, it is safe to let it go and just to like let it move on. Like, even with negative feelings, the reason why I've been such a strong like communicator. I don't know the word I'm trying to use, so whatever, I'll just go with communicator. The reason why I'm being such a strong communicator, I have been, of the fact that it's so important to feel your feelings, because your negative feelings, they come with a message. There's a reason why you're feeling a negative feeling. It's like telling you something, and so when you push it away, you don't receive that information, so it'll just keep coming back over and over and over. But there's also a way to transmute that negative feeling, but to do that, you have to first pick up grab the message, receive the message that it came to tell you. Okay? But that message transfer happens like as soon as you hit the feeling, or as soon as you start experiencing the feeling. You don't have, once you receive that message and you understand why you, like, what even triggered, basically you have to understand what the trigger is. The bad feelings point to the triggers, because the triggers are the things that you need to look at and understand why it feels bad to you, and clear up that reason, that whatever that is in there, clear up that energy. The bad feelings are pointing to events that happen in your life that trigger something in you that you need to look at. But once you get that message, you don't have to continue feeling bad. You know? Like, for example, right now, I was on my Instagram and I was posting, I think I was sharing a story. And then I felt myself like automatically going to it's just like the viewers, or like looking at the stats of that story, and I instantly felt like a pang of like anxiety in my right above my belly button, like right underneath my chest. So that's like the solar plexus area. I felt like a pang of anxiety pop up. Like I had been feeling so clear, like my body had been feeling so like free flowing in its energy, like in its just how the energy's moving through my body. It just felt free flowing. And then all of a sudden I was on Instagram and I felt this this energy, like this, I'm gonna say energy a lot, I'm gonna say vibe a lot, it's too bad. Deal with it. I was on Instagram and I was like chilling, having a good time, like feeling super free flowy, cloud like, just like drifting unrestricted, floating unrestricted through my day. And then I had this restriction feeling or contraction or like this anxiety come up. And so this is what I did. I noticed all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I just feel bad all of a sudden. First thing I did was ask myself, what triggered that? Like, what triggered this feeling? Like, what happened that made me feel like this all of a sudden? Because it wasn't all of a sudden out of nowhere. It never is out of nowhere. It's like the point where you feel that shift in how you feel inside. That moment you feel the shift is the moment that holds the experience that led to that trigger or emotional shift. And so when you feel that, just note, like I asked myself, what just happened? What caused this? And I realized it was because I looked at my analytics. Okay, so it was all I needed to know from that negative anxiety feeling was that I don't like that my analytics are low right now. I don't like that. It makes me feel bad. But once I understood that, that's my desire, that once I understood that that's what made me feel bad, and that basically what it's telling me is that my desire is to grow my analytics. My desire is to have the experience where I see people watching and interacting with my posts and enjoying my posts and learning from my posts. Like once I see that in that message, like the it just told me what I want. It just told me the reality that I would prefer instead. I received it, picked up that piece of information, understood it, and then I could just then I just stopped feeling anxious. Like I just did the thing that the ability that I'm talking about that has popped up, where I can just there's no thoughts involved. It's actually harder to do if I start thinking about it. It kind of feels like, you know, when you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender and they have air bending and water bending, or you watch what's that Marvel movie with Benedict Cumberbatch? What is that? Doctor Strange. You know, in Doctor Strange movie 1, where he goes to that mystical school and they teach you about how to manipulate energy. Like, you still have to focus, right? But it's not, you can tell it's not a mental thought focus. You're not thinking your way into doing the thing, moving the object, whatever. It's like, in my case, I'm not thinking my way into feeling not anxious anymore. It's literally just in my body. It's almost like I can just make my body feel differently. And I wasn't able to do this 2 weeks ago. It just popped up, and then it popped up and I started doing it. Then I got scared that maybe I shouldn't be doing this because maybe I'm supposed to suffer. Maybe I'm supposed to be not having a good time. Then I realized that no, that's not true. The feelings have a message. Once I receive that message, they've done their job and I can safely let them go. I don't have to hold on to them. They don't have anything else for me. But yeah, it's been amazing, and this is tying into the reality creation stuff, which is why I updated my... Okay, so if you join my Patreon, there's a group associated with the Patreon that when you join my Patreon, you gain membership to this group. And it was originally called Overflow. It had other names before that. It had like, I think one was like something alchemy. What the hell was it? Like, it's so, even though this was like 2 years ago, I straight up don't remember. Anyway, its most recent names was Overflow, and then its previous name was Equilibrium, and now it's Kismet or Kismet. So let me walk you through that. So Overflow, Equilibrium, those names are directly speaking to an energy, like a specific energy that we in the group, whoever was involved in the group and played in the group space with me, we all wanted to amplify the energy of overflow in our lives. So think of when I say energy also, I just mean, okay, you know what? I'm not really speaking to people who don't understand what I mean when I say energy of overflow. I'm speaking to people who know what that means. So for the first group, version of the group, iteration of the group, it was calling in the energy of overflow and understanding it. And I don't know, they lasted like a while. I think overflow was over a year, equilibrium less so. And basically the point is that I energetically set up the group to explore that together. And so things would start happening in our reality. Well, I don't know about the other group members, but for me, this is how I experienced that. This is how I experienced these groups. I set the intention that this is what I'm experiencing and exploring. And so overflow, things started happening in my reality that reflected overflow energy, like having more than enough, like having so much that like you don't even know what to do with it, like, because that is something that what I feel like when you're moving out from a scarcity mindset where everything feels limited, like overflow just feels so just tantalizing. It's like, oh my gosh, duh, like I really want the opposite of what I'm experiencing right now. Like if I'm experiencing lack right now, I obviously want overflow. And so we worked on that for a little bit. And then towards the end of it, the main takeaway that I had was like, the reason the energy shifted is because I realized that I don't act like overflow energy is amazing and it's great, but it is also overwhelming. There's a sense of overwhelm that is part of the package of the overflow energy, because by definition, overflow is a concept of more than enough. It's the energy of more than enough. And the picture that I had as the display picture of overflow, like the profile picture of the overflow group, was like an overflowing glass or mug or something. And like, just even in that visual, it's like you don't really want your glass to overflow, you want because then you create a mess, and unless you have something to deal with the overflow, like you have to set up systems to deal with the overflow. And if you don't want to do that extra work, it can feel really overwhelming to deal with overflow. And so then I shifted the energy to equilibrium, because I'm like, okay, overflow, don't really want that. I want just right. Like I want perfect balanced. So then I called it equilibrium. And that's what the group exploration has been for the past, I don't know, whatever. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you how long overflow or how long equilibrium had existed. So anyway, now today, all of a sudden, I got I just felt like the energy shifted again with the group, like the group's energy has shifted. And it was all of a sudden like I was not planning it. I mean, maybe in the last few days I had noticed myself pulling, like feeling more distant with the group of equilibrium, like with the vibe of the group of equilibrium. I was like, I just naturally wasn't engaging with it that much. So I don't was, like yesterday maybe or the day before, I had written a message like, hey, sorry guys, I've been like away from this group. I'll come back soon. Even though I probably have been away for like 3 days, because I usually 2 days maybe. Days feel so stretched out. It's crazy. Like I just feel like so much happens now. So that was the last message, and I was like, oh, I know I feel like I'm being distant because usually I message in this group every day because I have things to say every day or things to share every day. Anyway, and then today I just felt the new energy land like all of a sudden, and I didn't know what to name it. I knew it had to do with this ability that I've gained to shift my inner state like so freaking easily. And then I also know that I've been diving fully back into the reality creation stuff, as in you create your own reality, as in you set the tone for where your life goes. It's what you like, it's you creating it, basically. Everything in your experience, it's you creating it. I'm not gonna go into but what about the bad things? Maybe I'll talk about that in another episode, but just for this intro to this concept, maybe for those who are completely new to it, I don't want to go into that right now. Anyway, so this concept that our imaginations and our identities and how we feel about ourselves and how we feel about our life and what we believe is possible and what we believe is going to happen for us, like these are all like our beliefs, right? But beliefs not on a conceptual level but on a felt level, like a all-encompassing level. Your belief about what you believe is going to happen or what you believe about yourself, that's what creates what happens. And so this ability to shift my inner state is extremely, extremely helpful to the reality creation process, because I can literally make myself feel however I want to feel. And it's when you, like, a lot of the things that we want or we desire in our lives, we have external representations of those things, like what I want to experience. So maybe I want to experience an Italy trip. There's a specific vibe that I want to receive. There's a specific feeling. There's a specific sensation that I want to feel. When I say that I want to go on an Italy trip, I want some of what comes up for me. For every single person, everything is different, is represented differently. For me, Italy brings up the vibes of romanticism, beauty, ancientness, and much more as well, obviously. But those are the 3 words that I feel like coming up with as examples for now. So when I say I want to visit Italy, I am basically saying that I want to feel the feeling of being in Italy. Like, I want to feel what that means to me. I want to feel that romanticism. I want to feel that sense of like all-encompassing beauty. I want to feel that sense of ancientness, of the ancientness of me, the ancientness of this earth. Like, that's what I want to feel. And because I know that, I can literally feel that from where I'm sitting right now. Just thinking about it, visualizing. I mean, I have the ability to like visualize things in my head pretty clearly. And so I can bring up that visual and just like fully imagine myself in Italy, and I can make myself feel the feelings that I want from that trip, but right now from my bed. Okay, and the theory that each one of us get to experiment with is, if you imagine yourself and allow yourself to bring up the feelings now, you detach Like you lessen your attachment to that thing really like actually happening, because you realize that you can already feel what you're wanting to feel. And so your like desperation energy around experiencing that thing or wanting to experience that thing, it that desperation energy dissolves, and therefore you're putting out less resistance to experiencing that actual thing, whatever it is. For me, visiting Italy. And when that resistance dissolves and you are not attached to it in the same way that you were before, and you feel free flowy with it, you automatically get magnetized in the direction of it, because it's like where you're aiming. If you watched my previous YouTube video called It's Not About Consuming Less, I kind of speak about this topic, but in the context of content, in a more like down to earth level way of exploring this conversation. But still not, because we were still, even in that video, I'm talking about reality creation. But basically in that video I was saying that what you watch is where you're aiming. Like what you pay attention to is where you're aiming. That's where you're aiming the direction of your life. And the more that you pay attention to the energies that you're letting into your life, and now in this case invoking the energies that you're invoking on your own without external input, the more that you do that, the more that the theory is that you'll realize that that's what creates your reality. That's like where, this is how you steer. This is how, and the thing is, like, you set that intention, you set that direction, you naturally let go of resistance and attachment, and life begins to move you in the direction automatically. And all you have to do is pay attention to your inner guidance system, which is your intuition, and that inner signal that tells you, do this, do this, do this, do this next. When you do those two things, you just get to experience all the experiences that you have ever wanted. And this is something that each one of us gets to experiment with, because you won't believe it until you do it yourself. Like, this is one of those things that even if 100 people around you says that this is how this game can work, if you choose for it to work like this, if you want to play this game in this way, even if 100 people said that, unless you actually did it yourself and had that firsthand experience, it can feel like not a true thing. Like, it can feel like people are exaggerating, or it's too good to be true, or all of that. So anyway, long story short, even though I just told you the long story, the new group energy is around this topic of reality creation, and this concept that we direct our fate. We direct where our life goes. And the word fate, there's an Arabic derived word for fate that I've heard in both the languages that I grew up speaking. In Urdu, which is the first language that I grew up speaking, it's called Kismat, and that's how you pronounce it. And then when I grew up and learned English, I also heard this word in movies, but it was pronounced Kismet. But it's still the same word. It's an Arabic derived word, and it means fate. So that's what I named this group, Kismet. And the description of this group is, let me pull up my phone. You can visit the Instagram. It's at u.r.kismet. So YOU.ARE.QISMET. You are Kismet. And then the description of the group is Reality Creation School, sculpting an art piece using life as the medium. But anyway, I'm getting to the end of what I wanted to say in this episode. But to tie it all together, I'm experiencing this newfound ability to shift my inner state instantly. Like I can just make myself go from feeling anxious to feeling like fully at peace and in flow and at peace with my life and at peace with the pace of my life and at peace with where I'm going and how I'm getting there and all of that in one go. And I'm wondering if anyone else is experiencing something similar. And I think it might be because, well, I'm choosing to believe that it's because of the eclipse season that's coming up soon, that we're entering in a few days. Curious if you're going through that too. Secondly, this ability to change inner states is directly related to our ability to manifest things in our life and to create the experiences that we want to create and to move ourselves in the direction of the experiences that we want to create. And it's all really exciting. And if you want to explore this with me, then join my Patreon, join the group, join the Kismet group. I love saying it in that pronunciation too. It feels right, but like kismet, it just sounds not right. So it's kismet. I don't know what that's the Urdu pronunciation. I'm not sure what the Arabic pronunciation is. But if you want to explore this with me, and if you are also someone who knows this already, that you create your reality and that you're the person, you are fate, you are kismet, you're the one that's influencing where the direction of your life is going and what's going to happen next. If you also believe in that and want to practice it with other people who believe the same thing, then join my Patreon group. And I haven't updated the Patreon yet at the time of recording this episode, so the Patreon information and wording still reflects Equilibrium's mission. So I'm going to probably do that sometime soon. But yeah, I'm really excited. And also really excited to see how my own personal reality creation skills improve over the next few days, weeks, months, years. Like, there's so many things that I want to do that I didn't feel like were possible for me until like a day or two ago, that I'm like, oh wait, but I can do that because I can do anything. Like really I can go anywhere that I want. And that thought is amazing. So thank you for listening, everybody. I am going to go to sleep now because it's late now and this was a late night episode. So much fun. I love that my creating process feels like this now. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. Mwah.